All right, what's happening, everyone? Corey Winkoff here with FLG and the Long Island Lacrosse Journal. We got a special guest in John Sexton, who's a professional lacrosse player with the PLL Redwoods, played at Notre Dame. John, it's really nice to having you on, man. How you doing over there?
Doing great here in Chicago. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here with such a great platform and a club team that I ended up playing against growing up. So one that I've had a lot of respect for a while now.
Yeah, it's interesting. You played against some of the FLG boys on the recruiting trail. When do you remember running into them?
Yeah, so I was playing for Massachusetts back in the day. I guess that would have been around 2011 through 2012-13 time frame. But yeah, so sounds like that's right around when FLG was starting to get its roots in the ground.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great program. A lot of great players. Just continue to go out of there. Which we'll talk further about. I know Jordan Walters, as you mentioned earlier, he's your roommate, who's a
Yeah.
Long Island guy.
Yeah, exactly. I got a lot of FLG connections. So yeah, Jordan Walter was my roommate sophomore year and then senior year of college. So someone I've stayed in contact with, and we're still teammates. Actually, just this time we're teammates on a trivia team on Wednesday nights now. But another one of our roommates, Austin Geis, has been holding on his end.
That's awesome, man. How are you holding up in terms of getting through the pandemic here, and what also, if you don't mind, just sharing like what brought you to Chicago after you graduated ND?
Yeah, absolutely. So, been holding up well. Things are going pretty good work-wise. So that's kind of what brought me to Chicago. At Notre Dame, obviously beyond lacrosse, you're a student, and I studied finance and sustainability there. Through studying sustainability, kind of got an interest in the power industry and in particular the renewable energy industry. And so after school, I went into investment banking for a bank, Marathon Capital, that specializes in power and energy infrastructure, companies and assets. So I'm working on the sale of power plants and companies that build them and operate them and everything in between. So, and fortunately, through these times, that industry has been, I think, less affected than some other industries. So I've been, busy working here in Chicago and haven't missed too much of a beat work wise. So
Yeah, it's great, man, and it's cool that you have a passion that kind of developed while you were at Notre Dame, still involved in your life, and something that you're doing with your full time job. But you also have the passion of lacrosse still involved in your life, playing with the
yep.
Redwoods. Is that strategic for you, or is it something that you kind of just fell into and said, I guess I'll keep playing?
No, I would definitely, had always, intended and hoped to be able to play at the next level. That obviously evolved quickly right after I graduated with the formation of the PLL. But it's something that I'm extremely thankful of my employer to give me the opportunity to continue to play, and then it's also something that's a part of my everyday life right now. Just because we're in quarantine, I know we're all still talking, all the guys in the Redwoods, and we're all still figuring out how we can stay in shape and get ready for this upcoming 3 week extravaganza this summer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll definitely get into that in a little bit. I do want to take a couple steps backwards. Do you mind just kind of sharing with everyone your lacrosse journey? Like, when did you pick up a stick, and take us through, all the way to the time you played at Notre Dame into now playing for the PL Redwoods?
Yeah, absolutely happy to. I think maybe my first time picking up a stick would have been on the sidelines of some of my cousins' games. So I grew up with older cousins who played lacrosse. My dad played lacrosse in college back in he graduated in '69 from Middlebury. So kind of grew up with a lacrosse family. And actually, my cousin played at Notre Dame, graduating in 2001 when I would have been 6 years old. So from a young age, kind of had exposure to lacrosse, but didn't really start formally playing until I was probably in fourth or fifth grade, I would say. But even then, I was still really a baseball guy at heart, and I still love baseball. I think it's a great sport. But as I got up through middle school, was a little bit more interested in kind of a faster pace, more physical sport, and so lacrosse kind of won out when I went to high school. I went to Lincoln Sudbury in Eastern Massachusetts. Was really fortunate to be part of a great youth and then high school program in Lincoln Sudbury. A lot of great coaches, Brian Vaughn and Tim Jason, who really run a tight ship over there. And it wasn't really until I got to high school that I realized that I might have the chance to play in college. So I think, the club lacrosse was big at that time, but I think it's really blossomed since then.
Mhm.
I didn't really start playing club until I was maybe right after 8th grade or so. That wasn't uncommon at that time. Now I feel like everyone's playing club lacrosse, and that's fantastic. People are getting a lot of access to really good coaches and skill development from a younger age.
Mhm.
But so I kind of got to Lincoln Sudbury and realized maybe college lacrosse would be for me. So at that point it was just kind of assessing options. And my sister actually went to Notre Dame as well. Rachel was 2 years ahead of me, so she committed to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was one of the schools I was looking at, along with a handful of other ones. And it kind of was an easy choice for me because Notre Dame, I had the family connections. I had obviously a top level program, at that time and still today, and then also the academics are undeniably among the better schools in the country. So it was kind of a perfect marriage of a couple different factors for me.
What position you play in baseball?
Baseball. So I was an outfielder. I originally was an infielder, and then once we got to the big field, made it to the outfield so that I could I guess use a little bit of an outfield arm and use some speed to track down the fly balls. So it was a bit of a transition, but honestly, I've always said it. I would have played baseball and lacrosse if they were fall and spring.
Hmm.
I ended up playing football, which love football still, but have a soft spot in my heart for baseball. Maybe grew up watching a lot of Nomar and Big Papi, and just kind of being a Red Sox fan might have been easy growing up in the 2000s, but it really made a big impact on me.
What part of baseball had the biggest impact in your opinion? Was it the memories of watching like the Sox, or is there a certain aspect of playing the game that you liked?
I guess in place of having summer lacrosse, I had summer baseball growing up. And I was playing, it was 4, 5, 6 times a week in the summer with a travel team. And some of those memories of those guys just hanging out at the fields when we were growing up, those are, some of my fondest memories of baseball for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, similar. I was just catching the Last Dance documentary, and I think one of the aspects that Michael Jordan enjoyed most about baseball is exactly that. It was just like the camaraderie and just like the experience of
Yeah,
being with the guys.
absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit of a slower pace, but you're spending time in the dugout, and there's just a lot of camaraderie in baseball just because of that nature that it is a little bit slower.
That's awesome. Talk us or take us through a little bit your college experience. Playing for one of the best defensive minds in the game and playing for just a program with such a rich history. For you, what'd you get out of the experience, and what are some things that really transformed you, maybe individually as a person, but also as a player? Coming out of high school and then moving through college.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, going to Notre Dame really transformed my game, brought it to the next level. Like you pointed out, Coach Byrne, one of the, best defensive minds in the game, in my opinion, unbiased over here, the best defensive mind in the game. It really just, it kind of broadened my horizon of what I kind of knew that I needed to work on. It's easy to go out and work on one-on-one defense or ground balls or checks or whatever it might be, but you really, opened my eyes to a whole other set of kind of things that I'd really overlooked as a player before then. So, he just his team defenses, the way that his defenses kind of are so coordinated and are so, moving in unison, and just the amount of diligence that goes into the preparation of playing against another team's offense, and really having a strong understanding of not only the players you're going against, but how their unit works as a whole. Those kinds of I guess tools that he gave all the Notre Dame defenders to take with them, whether it be to the next level or just that general diligence and that general approach to preparation in terms of your life is definitely something I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. So I think in terms of when I got to Notre Dame, it was definitely a little bit of a raw player still running around trying to throw checks, trying to go score goals, whatever it might be, but was able to kind of find opportunities to do that without jeopardizing the defense as a whole. And he really helped me prioritize I guess the team over just playing as an individual defender. So transform my game for the better, and definitely wouldn't be sitting here today without Coach Byrne.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it's got to be so nice as a defenseman, like having a clear understanding of like when you should be doing certain things because you're prepared for those situations. It's like, all right, this is the time I can take the ball away. And if I
Mhm.
risk it and it doesn't work out, it's like, it's okay. Cause I have support. And I think, again, that goes into what you said with Coach Byrne, just kind of giving you guys that mental preparation, both on an individual, but also a team perspective. I think,
Mhm.
that being said, you talked about preparing yourself for, not just, maybe the next year if you're a sophomore or your senior year if you're a junior, but the next phase of life. For you, can you talk about that transition of going from college to pro and talk about how you felt prepared and why you felt prepared at the next level when you made that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, when you're playing in the ACC, you're playing against a lot of the best players as is. So in terms of playing against guys, it was never whether or not I could, hang or whether athleticism was going to be an issue. It's really just kind of getting used to the style of play. So I mean, I think professionals a little bit more of a roll the ball out and just kind of do your thing type of style of lacrosse. And I think part of that's just because you're not practicing 5 days a week like you are in college. And so it's really, it's just adjusting to that play style that people are out there making these incredible plays. It's the best players in the world. And so everyone's very talented on an individual level. That being said, being on the Redwoods and having so many of the Notre Dame guys, it's been really nice to return to kind of having such a strong team-oriented defense. I think that there's just because of the sheer number of ND guys we have, and how many other fantastic defenders we have. I mean, everyone on our defense and our midfield really immediately kind of adopted Nat's defense and some of the Notre Dame defenses that we had been using in the past. And I think just kind of that combination of having Nat, who's a great defensive mind, and then having a lot of people with experience from Notre Dame really made the Redwoods defense an easy one to fit into this past year, just because it was so kind of familiar and comfortable.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's cool. It's cool to see at a professional level, especially in lacrosse, like
Mm-hmm.
such good team defense and cohesion. Because, like you said, it's just it's hard to do, and you only have so much time together as a team. And it was apparent. We actually had we were doing like one of those PLL like virtual film breakdown hangouts with some of our
Okay.
FLG guys, and Joe Walters. He was like, hands down, best defense in the league. He's like, you can mark my word on that. I was
Yeah,
like,
he's got
respect.
our back. It's because
Yeah.
we're practicing against them. It's because we're practicing against our offense. Those guys keep us honest.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's a guy too. I mean, that was my first time ever interacting with him, but he was one of the best attackmen like ever. And he's playing midi
Yeah.
for you guys. He's doing whatever. So I can tell he's definitely seems like a team oriented type player. And
Oh,
obviously,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. So having all those guys who are so experienced on our team, that's been another blessing that we have so many guys, or had, this past year at least, so many guys with so many years of pro lacrosse experience. So it was a really fun group to be able to play with.
that's cool, man. Are you excited for what's to come in 2020? This little condensed quarantine, series that's hopefully going to go down. Everything's going to go smooth. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I think that still having that week training camp is huge to kind of get the team on the same page. Everyone's doing their own work right now. We're still communicating frequently, but end of the day, that week will play a huge role in kind of getting the team back on the same page here. And then really excited just to have the opportunity to play and to compete. But I think this is pretty fantastic. The league was able to come up with a solution that gets lacrosse in the field this summer, because it certainly would have been easy to throw in the towel and just kind of say it is what it is, and maybe not uh, worry about getting a season in the summer. But they've really come up with a solution that I think is the best for everyone, whether that be the league, the players, the fans. So I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, no, us too. I mean, just being involved in the game, but even like there might be people that are going to tune in that have never seen lacrosse before and be like, "Wow,
Mhm.
like this is pretty awesome," which I'm excited for because I think it's actually going to really just help the sport as a whole. If hopefully everything goes smooth and you guys stay healthy and everyone else stays healthy, which knock on wood that happens. But I think it's a kind of a really unique opportunity. It's almost like I can compare it to just my day to day. Normally talking to a college coach this time of the year is virtually impossible. They're focused on winning games and
Yeah.
being with their teams, but now it's like you can get a coach on the phone and see how they're doing and catch up and talk recruiting because, they happen to have more free time than usual. So I think
Yeah.
other people, viewers, casual fans, people that are like, just scrolling through YouTube or Instagram, they're going to see the PLL and lacrosse and be like, wow, this is really cool, which I'm excited for. So,
Yeah.
that's great, man. Let's talk a unique aspect of being a pro athlete, right? Is partnerships and sponsorships. You are a Epic pro athlete. Can you talk real quick about a little background on why you went with Epic? What's going on there, and talk a little bit about how your experience has been so far with the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Epic's a brand that I've been familiar with and really liked for a long time, even before I was an Epic athlete. Had a chance to play with some of those guys when I was interning up in Minneapolis, where Epic is based, and had the chance to play for their team in Vail for a couple of years. So I was really familiar with the brand, and I knew I loved the gloves, which I had. I knew I loved the sticks. But over everything else, I really like the people and the approach that they're taking. It's a technology company in the sport of lacrosse, and they really have a lot of intentionality in everything that they do. It's all about the details. It's all about the science. It's all about the materials that they're using. So they're really just taking it to the next level in terms of being a lacrosse science company more than a gear company, if anything. And so, I mean, the guys over there are fantastic. They've all been so supportive, so nice, and they really do care about the greater lacrosse community. So being able to kind of go with a brand that's so holistic and has so many aspects like that I really appreciate was an easy choice for me at the end of the day after graduating.
That's great, man. It's so true. They're just like authentic. It's like you talk to James Vasili, who runs the company. Like the fact that the guy that runs the company. I mean, most CEOs or founders, like you maybe shake their hand once or twice. You probably have relationships with those guys, right?
No, exactly. The fact that you have a relationship with the CEO. I mean, I know he's in contact with all the athletes constantly, just checking in, making sure we're doing well. He generally, cares about all of his players and his employees. And, I know they care about the lacrosse community too. They're doing things like extending warranties right now. And, I think it's really cool that they're able to kind of take that approach where they're, not just out there to make a profit, they're out there to make a difference. So.
That's awesome, man. Last thing we're going to leave you with is a question from one of your fellow Epic pro athletes, Jared Newman. So I got to share. Let me share my screen. Hopefully I don't screw this up.
Yeah, let's see this. What do we got here?
All right, so I'm going to pull up. All right, where's this video? Give me a sec here. All right. Okay, so it's right here. Let's see if I can share. All right, here we go. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right.
John, are you happier now that you don't have to guard Miles Jones because he's on your team, or would you rather guard him because when he was on our team? What'd you like better, not having to guard him or guarding him?
Wow, that's a great question. That's a tough one. I mean, I've always looked forward to those matchups since I was in college. I mean, I remember 2016, Miles' senior year. Like spending every day in the weight room just trying to put on weight ahead of that dude. Every little advantage I could get. I've always liked covering Miles. I think it's fun. He's such a fantastic player and fantastic competitor, and just one of the best in the game. And from an athletic standpoint, just the freak of an athlete in our sport. So I've always reveled in the opportunity to cover him. So but I think how can you be upset about having another guy on your team like that? I mean, we've got this midfield right now where you got Sergio going against you practice, Miles going against you in practice. Like I'm going to be putting on extra gear or something, extra padding, because we're about to have some crazy practices. So I gotta say I'm happier with him as a teammate, but we'll miss the opportunity to play against one of the best.
That's awesome. Well, John, we really appreciate your time, man. We look forward to tracking you, supporting you, following you, and I guess for the fans out there that want to kind of stay up on the Redwoods and what you're doing, how can we do that? How can we follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, tune into the Redwoods Instagram, PLL Instagram, whatever it is. They do a really good job of covering all the stuff going on. And as the summer comes along, make sure you're following the guys on the team that you're interested in seeing what they're doing.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck with the PLL championships coming up in 2020, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, and go, I guess, FLG. That kind of hurts me to say as a Massachusetts guy, but
I can always edit that out if you get a hard time from the Massachusetts guys.
I'll make sure to let you know.